It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 160. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. We're talking Golden Gopher men's hockey this week on the Go Gopher Podcast, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the show one of the senior leaders on this second-ranked Minnesota team. They've got hopes of winning a Big Ten title this weekend at Penn State. Forward Aaron Huglen has been a major part of the team's success for his entire career at Minnesota. He's centered some of the top lines, and he's made some of the top plays in recent memory, and he's got quite a story to tell as well. I know you'll enjoy hearing from him coming up. Our Go Gopher Podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. Get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union is also a big sponsor of our Go Gopher Podcast. Life math is complicated, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union makes it easier. They have local financial experts available to help in person or virtually. You should go to affinityplus.org/Go Gophers for all the info. And we also want to thank Affinity Plus for their support of Golden Gopher student athletes. Aaron Huglen will get a Visa gift card courtesy of Affinity Plus for his appearance today on episode number 160. Thanks again to the great folks at Affinity Plus. The Go Gopher Podcast is also presented by OnX Maps. Find out how to download the OnX Fish app for free by listening to this week's Go Gopher Podcast. We're podcasting episode 160 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to subscribe and free to listen at any time. You can go back and listen to previous Go Gopher Podcast. Last week, for example, we talked with Gopher basketball player Lakai Patterson while the team was out in Los Angeles. It was a great episode, and if you haven't heard it, go back and give it a listen. This week, the regular season Big Ten Men's Hockey Championship is on the line, and we'll preview that, among other things, with Golden Gopher center Aaron Huglen of Roseau. That's next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
Keep the good times rolling without the regrets. Giggly THC beverages are your go-to for bold flavor and smooth vibes. Zero alcohol, no bad decisions. Just THC-infused cocktails, seltzers, and teas packed with natural ingredients and performance-boosting superfoods like ashwagandha and ginseng. Find Giggly at over 500 locations like Total Wine, MGM, and Cub Foods, or shop online at giggly.com. That's GIGLI.com. Ready to upgrade your drink game? Use the code Giggly North, as in Giggly Talk North. Giggly North, GIGLI North, for 50% off your first order. Giggly, sip smarter, feel better.
It's episode 160 of the Go Gopher Podcast. It's our pleasure to bring Gopher senior forward, a centerman on this Gopher hockey team, ranked number 2 in the country, Aaron Huglen, sitting in with us here in our podcast studio. And Aaron, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, you've got a lot going on here, huh?
Yeah.
You're playing hockey. You're a married man. You have a newborn, beautiful young daughter at home. Take me through what this last month has been like, because your young daughter's just like 2 weeks old now as we talk? Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously an unbelievable experience having your first child. So my wife and I are just trying to take it in, and thankfully the birth and everything went great, and both mom and her are doing really well.
Take me through that moment. Like, obviously you know that you're going to have a baby, and then you have a baby. My first child was 25 years ago, but I still vividly remember some of the emotions. What was it like for you? Yeah,
I mean, it was leading up to it, excitement. And then, when the baby's coming, and it's that intense time with, the wife going through the heavy labor, like it was overwhelming. But yeah, once she came, and you know that both mom and her are doing really well, it was just an amazing moment.
When, I don't know whether it was a nurse or a doctor, handed you, is it Evie?
Evie,
for the first time, what was that like? And you got to hold her.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing, knowing that it's you and your wife, in one. Just it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you are kind of doing the traditional marriage thing in a little bit of a non-traditional way. It's not a lot of college students that get married. You're a little older than most college students because you had a couple years of junior, so it's not like you're just a 20-year-old decided, hey, we're in love and we're going to get married. This is a pretty cool traditional marriage kind of thing in a little bit of a non-traditional fashion.
Yeah, and Maddie and I are both Christians, and so it's important to us to, honor God, and that's what we believe that we're doing. So it's been nothing but a blessing. Obviously, it's untraditional in many ways with the hockey team and being in college, but we've been just surprised and amazed by how much of a blessing it's all been.
How has it all worked in terms of time management? Like oftentimes when someone, again, traditionally gets married, they've either got a job or they're looking for jobs or what have you. You're in college. Your wife is going through it with you. You've got a future in hockey probably, So how is, and then you're worried about trying to win a Big Ten title this weekend, and what's Penn State all about, and what's the Big Ten playoffs looking like, all this stuff. So how is all of that mixing together?
Yeah, I mean, I really, obviously just take things one day at a time. And, when I go to the rink, I'm at the rink, I'm focused, I'm doing what I need to do there. And then when I go home, doing the tasks that need to be done. So I think, when you look at it like that, it can be overwhelming, but I really just try to take it a day and moment by moment.
I got to ask a question and take it in the right way. I remember when we had our first kid, and then, of course, we had two, my wife and I, and things totally changed overnight, right? What you thought might be important became rather unimportant because the most important thing now you're holding as an infant, right? Yeah. So how does that, but on the same token, it provided motivation to go do whatever it was. In my case, I was in my first radio job way back in the day, and it was motivation to, I got to go do great in this so I can provide. So how has that emotion, did you find a similar thing and find some things that you worried about before, like, I'm not to that doesn't matter now. There's other things to worry about. Yeah.
I mean, I think it definitely puts things in perspective when you have your first kid. And for me, I mean, I was aware of, that kind of thing, potentially coming into mind. And I know that, I have a task at hand with the hockey team. And, so like I said, just when I'm at the rink, I'm focused and dialed in, and I want to be able to do, things in an excellent way in all spheres of life. So,
all right. So take us back. You and Maddie, if I read right, I think was it Lavelle that did a pretty cool story on you guys earlier in the season that you guys met at a concert or a county fair or something like that. Rodeo. That's what it was. So I'm not trying to go TMZ on this, but take me through how you guys met, and then there was a little bit of a break. And then a rekindling, so to speak.
Yeah. So Maddie and I met at the Clearwater Rodeo, and that would have been in about 2019, I think. And so I was playing hockey in Fargo at the time for the Fargo Force, and I was injured, and so I'd come down to the city's area for doctor's appointments. And my brother was living in the area, so I'd go with him, and he was taking his now wife on their first date.
Oh, wow.
And I went with.
You're the third wheel.
But of course, I'm the third wheel, so they're like, hey, you gotta find someone to dance with and, go away from us. And so I was looking for someone to dance with, and there walks up Maddie, and so I asked her to dance, and we had talked in a little bit for weeks after that, but then, I was thinking I was going to college, so might not work out, but then later on I realized, okay, she was pretty cool. I want to reach back out, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history, and here you are. You made a conscious decision, as you mentioned, through your faith, that marriage was the path, right? I mean, and because there's all kinds of options, right? You could let it ride and finish college and then decide what you want to do. But take me through that decision and how faith played a part in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, at that time I remember when I asked Maddie out to date, she was like, well, yeah, but, we're going to get married, right? And to me, it was like, yeah, maybe 5 years from now, like in my mind. And that was just something in my own life that I needed to process, and I wasn't thinking in those ways, and I needed to mature in some ways. But yeah, later on I realized like all my reasons for not getting married were pretty selfish. And if I could, looking back now, how much I would have missed out on all the blessings, like it's been the best decision.
How have your teammates been part of this now, and coaching staff and all this? Because you really kind of have two families now that you're trying to mesh together.
Yeah, they've been so supportive. I mean, as soon as they heard the news that we were expecting, they were all super pumped up for us. And earlier in the fall, they threw a baby shower and got to celebrate Maddie and I.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't know how they might respond. I knew they'd be happy for me, but yeah, their support has just been overwhelming.
This looks like a pretty close-knit group. Would you agree in terms of what it looks like in the locker room and how you guys hang out? And there's a lot of you guys that have now been together for, multiple seasons too.
Yes, absolutely. It's an unbelievable group.
And now you're playing for the first of what you hope might be 3 banners to hang right this weekend. You have an opportunity as a team to win a regular season Big Ten championship. You've got the point standing lead, but you'll have to you win both. No problem. If you don't, then you may need some help. So what's the mindset for you guys going into Penn State this weekend, knowing that is kind of goal one along this path?
We've kind of been, seeking a standard for our team, and in January is a tougher month for us as a group, meeting that. But I think there's just a different feel for our team in the past, couple weeks, just realizing, what's at stake towards the end of the year, and really making sure that we're, just dialed in every game. So that's going to be our focus, and, hopefully we can carry that out.
It's interesting, too, because you guys play, the longest season. It covers 2 semesters. You start in October. You hope it ends in April. And in essence, what you guys at a program like Minnesota are playing for is now, this time, right? But to position yourself, this 5 months, like a week from now, the 5 months means nothing, right? At that point, you're playing for stuff that you think's more important. But the 5 months has to be important to get to where you want to be. There's a lot of teams, blue blood teams, that aren't going to have the chance to maybe compete for what you guys are competing for.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, you look at the rankings and stuff, and like all that matters towards the end of the year. So that's a good thing, because it makes every game count. And, obviously, in our shoes, we wish we had a different January. We've had a great season overall, and we're looking to finish it.
January 2 there were some injuries, some sickness, right? You guys, what was the series you guys had? Like, you were down 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah.
I forget who.
Michigan State,
maybe. Yeah. Still gave them a heck of a fight, but you were, that was the home Michigan State. That's when you guys wore the Tackanites, right? I want to say that might have been that weekend.
I think we're on the road.
On the road. It was at Michigan State. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you guys fought, and everyone seems to be fighting through different injuries and illnesses. And, last night, as we record here on Wednesday, the Gopher basketball team lost to Northwestern, and Northwestern, they have 2 of their starters a season into injury, yet they were able to somehow get a win. So everyone has to fight. Everyone has to grind. And that's the thing about the hockey season. Over the course of that long stretch of games and the grind that it is, there's that ultimate goal at the end. But man, you have to kind of be relentless, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the unfortunate part, that, sickness and injuries can come. We had a great, even just throughout the season, like guys like Nick Michael, Axel Begley, John Whipple, guys that might not necessarily always be in the lineup, but the way they stepped in and helped us out was just tremendous.
Bob Motzko yesterday during his media session talked about the importance of having the depth that you guys have, the 4 lines. And this has been an annual thing, because I've had guys on here before where it's like, well, you're on the 3rd line, and at some programs being on the 3rd line means you're a 3rd line player. At Minnesota, a 3rd line player can be a top line player at most other places. And I think this past weekend kind of exemplified that, right, in terms of you got points and production from a bunch of different lines. And Bob Motzko, I think the term he used about how important at this time of year, if you guys can sustain that, he said it's huge.
Absolutely. That's the key, and that's one of the huge benefits of coming to a program like Minnesota is that, you're in it to win it. And, there's always going to be guys with tons of talent, and when a team can come together like we have, like, we can do something special.
What can you take from your previous experiences too? You've been to, a couple of Frozen Fours. You've had, think about the UMass game where you dug that puck out, and there was a Myers, I think, scored the winner to get to the Frozen Four. You played in a national championship game. What kind of, and some of your teammates have been part of those experiences as well. So now as a senior on this team, what can you draw from that to help maybe this push as it starts this week to try to get that first of what you hope is a few banners here?
Yeah, I think like what I was talking about earlier about, like, I think you need to come to a place where you're playing your game, despite what game it is or what team you're up against. So we've just been focusing on having that consistency in our game, and when you have that, it doesn't matter at the end. It's like what you're gonna bring. So that's gonna be our focus, going into this weekend and the coming playoffs is just, this is the team we are, and we're gonna bring it every night. Again, not to put the cart in front of the horse, but it looks like there's a pretty good chance, if all goes well, that you guys could get assigned the Fargo region again, which you've had some success in, close to your home area. You played like juniors there. How much would you look forward to that opportunity again? Oh, yeah, that'd mean the world. I have so many good friends in Fargo. So yeah, to be able to play there and just on the force rink, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, last time was pretty successful, right?
Yeah,
that was a fun weekend for sure. Penn State this weekend, they seem to have all of a sudden caught fire. Like the first time you saw them, they were last in the standings, and they actually might have been going through some injuries as well at that time. I think their goaltender and different things, but looks like you're catching a hot team here. So you guys are. What can you tell us about the Nittany Lions for this weekend?
Yeah, I know. We hear they have a very good goaltender, so that's going to be one of our focuses, try and make it hard on him, and they're going to be a great challenge for us, so we're excited for it.
You think about some of the memories you've made on the ice. I mentioned the overtime winner with Ben Myers scoring against UMass, the runner-up finish down in Tampa, a lot of success last year. Even the other night, you got the Gophers on the board first, which was a key weekend with the Buckeyes in town. They were also red hot, and you got that first goal. What's this experience been like for you over the course of time to stack these memories, to have such success wearing maroon and gold?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for it, and it's like we were just talking about, like we have so many talented players, so many great teammates, so you gotta give credit to them, and obviously on that pass, even Lammer puts it in the net, so you need all the pieces to work together. Yeah,
I thought that was it was a really sweet goal. That should be on all the season-ending highlight videos. You skate between a couple of guys. You've obviously got great skill in terms of your ability to do things on the ice. Was that just instinctive? Did you have a plan? But, how do you walk through a couple of dudes like that are trying to stop you? And then when does the vision start that all of a sudden that Lammer's going to be there?
Yeah, I think it is instinctive, and you just try to get your speed up and see what's in front of you. And when I was coming around the net, I was trying to look for who I might be able to pass to, and I saw Lammer, and we kind of locked eyes, and so thankfully the puck got through to him. Yeah, and you have been one of those guys too that has kind of been able to work with a bunch of different lines over your career, right? You've kind of, okay, let's put you on this line. Well, this line needs a boost. We're going to put Huglen on that line to center it. So
how important is it to catch some chemistry then? And you and Lammer have hooked up. That wasn't the first time you guys have connected on a goal.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important to try and build chemistry, and that's something that Lammer and I have had a lot of. I remember we were playing with Pitlick a couple years ago. Played with him a lot. So yeah, I love playing with him, and anytime you can build that chemistry, it just helps so much.
Let me talk about a sponsor here real quick on the Go Gopher podcast. Affinity Plus is your local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. If you're a current Gopher student or a proud Gopher alum, that makes you eligible to join a financial that wants to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. You could meet with a local employee at any of their branches statewide, including one near campus, right off campus in Minneapolis on University. To learn more and find other ways to connect, here's the webpage. It's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. People-centered banking, perfect for Gophers. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA, and they're always supporting Gopher student athletes. Aaron Huglen gets a Visa gift card for his appearance on our Go Gopher podcast today. Lots to talk about. We've kind of hit on this weekend and the importance of it, and the first step then into the potential regular season championship, and then into the playoffs, and then into the NCAA. And this is the time of year that when you go to the University of Minnesota, you are playing for. But I want to go back a little bit about your growing up as a youth hockey player into a high school hockey player, and start by asking you, what is the Roseau-Warroad hockey rivalry like? Can you put it into words?
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. I remember growing up as a kid, watching guys like Aaron Ness, who eventually, became a Gopher. But playing Roseau-Warroad, it was just, both towns are there. It's packed.
How far are you?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. So it's
we're right there. So, I mean, those memories are some of the best hockey memories I have playing Warroad. It's something special, and definitely one of the best rivalries around.
And you were when you're high skill level like you were, a lot of guys will leave high school and go play juniors right away or go to the development team or whatever they are. You pretty much finished, right? You stayed. Take me through why you wanted to do that.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy decision for me. Just when I think about my hockey career, like Roseau has, the biggest part in developing that, and we have a free rink, the North Rink, where kids can just go out and play with their buddies, at any time. So there's just so much pride and tradition in Roseau that I really love. So it was an easy decision staying back for a senior year.
And you had a pretty good team. You were one of the finalists for Mr. Hockey. I'm assuming that group of guys is a close-knit group of guys you're probably still texting and sharing time with at times.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your favorite memory, do you think, as a high school hockey player in the state of hockey?
Yeah. I don't know if there's one necessarily game, but just, there's something about growing up with these guys your whole life. And, in college you get something close to that with, the 4-year time with, you can build these relationships. But, when you're just growing up together and you end up playing in high school in front of your town with these friends of yours, like that was just the best thing. Yeah,
no doubt. And did you play a lot of outdoor hockey too?
Because we had the North Rink, we didn't need to. So
always did. Yeah. So tell me about this North Rink. That's just it's a public place and anyone can go play?
Yeah. So Roseau has Memorial Arena, which is the high school arena, and then connected to that is the North Rink, and there's practices going on at different points during the day, but there's always a chunk from 7 to 9 o'clock where anyone can go out. It's free, and there's always games going on, and you're just playing and having fun. So that's what I owe a lot of my skill development too.
Yeah, and you just and you get there, and as you mentioned, you're a kid, and so now these kids you're playing with become you kind of grow up together, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty cool. Then you went from there to juniors. Was it 2 years of juniors? But you had an injury in there as well, right?
Yeah.
So take me through post high school, but pre Gophers.
Yeah. So I went to Fargo before and after in high school, so my senior year, and then after my senior year is when I got a bad back injury. And that's when I was out for a year and a half. So I, after high school, didn't play for a year and a half. So I was in Fargo rehabbing and seeing doctors. And then it was only the last half of the Fargo season before I came to the Gophers where I started playing again. And yeah, we actually made a really good run that year and just lost in the final.
Yeah, you had a good playoff run. I remember that, right?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that was. And then did that give you a little boost of confidence in coming in here as a freshman?
Definitely. I mean, if I hadn't been able to play and have success like that, it would have been pretty tough to miss a year and a half and come in.
Going through that, and you've had a couple of injuries here too, where you've missed some time. Does it help build an appreciation for playing when you have to go through an injury? I mean, there had to be doubts at some point in the middle of that whether would you be able to return to at a high level? Definitely. I mean, I remember my first game back after missing a year and a half, and I was in the lineup that night, and I was nervous. I was like, first of all, I was just grateful to be playing again, but I was nervous, thinking, if I could have success again. And I remember the first game, I got a pass from Ryan Seedham, and I was able to. The defenseman kind of lost his stick, and I beat the goalie and scored in the first game. And I was like, oh man, I was just so grateful for that, and it was definitely a gift from God in that time. How could you at all while you were out? When did you were able to get back? Like, were you able to skate for a few months before you got back into a game, or just like 2 weeks, or how did that work? Were you able to get on the ice a little bit through that? I think I skated for a month or month and a half. Yeah, and so you at least felt stable. Yeah, and then the goal had to be okay, we're back. Yeah, pretty cool. One more sponsor mention I want to tell you about. Ice fishing is here, although not for much longer, so let's take advantage here. I know we had some cold temperatures last week, a little warmer this week, so be careful depending on where you're at. But if you are hitting the frozen water, do so with OnX Fish. It's the fish app and the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on the ice. Use an OnX Fish app to find new places to fish. You can sort by lakes, by species, by abundance, trophy, and keeper potentials. OnX Fish allows you to show hot spots, lake-by-lake regulations, private and public land ownership, and more. And now for a limited time, download OnX Fish for free in Minnesota or Wisconsin by going to onxmaps.com/fish. You can get all the info on the app, and it's changing the game on ice. Did you do any ice fishing growing up? Oh, yeah. I was going to say my brother loves OnX. OnX works. We got an endorsement right here for our OnX Fish app with Aaron Huglen here. How was senior night for you last week? This is a long trek. We've just explained all that you've been through: injury, high success, great high school player, Frozen Fours, and here it is, the final regular season weekend last weekend. So what was that like? Yeah, that was so special. I mean, for me, it felt like just a culmination of all my experiences in hockey and in life. Just being able to celebrate that with my wife and daughter, my parents, all of them, they're my biggest supporters. And so it was super special to be able to do that. And, with Liam and Ben too there. So yeah, that'll be a day I always look back on. And your mother, Brenda, sang the national anthem. Yeah. And did a great job. Did you know that was happening? How did that all work out? Yeah. So I had heard rumblings about that, like maybe couple of months ago that might happen, but I'd totally forgotten about it. And so when I heard, Aaron Huglen's mom, Brenda. So you didn't know? No, so it was a surprise. You're on the ice for warm-ups and standing there looking at the flag waiting. Yeah, I had no idea, and then I heard that. What did you think when they announced it? Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, wow. I was a little nervous for her. I was like, wow, you're singing for 10,000 people. She did great. She did unbelievable, and that was a really special moment for her. So obviously she has some singing background. So what is her background in song? Yeah, so she sang in college, and she traveled with a group where she went to college, and then she sang in church like my whole life. So actually one time we performed together. I was on the guitar and she was singing. Yeah.
So yeah, she's so talented, and it was really special.
Yeah, that had to put a smile on your face, I would think.
Totally.
Yeah, that was good. And I was watching you guys because I was at the game. I was and I was down on. I was sitting on the end where you guys were after the warm ups, looking up at the flag. So I was watching, and man, all your teammates were so intent. And then when it got done, they all came and gave you a stick tap.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That was very cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, was your mom nervous afterwards? Did you talk to her? In terms of like, this is a good sized crowd you're singing in front of.
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked her, but I was like, "Were you nervous?" And she's like, "Yeah, I mean, a little bit." And then, but yeah, she killed it, and I think she knew she had done a good job, and a lot of people were complimenting her, so she was happy about it.
So it was your night and her night.
Yeah,
a little bit. That was fun to share, I'm sure. And then, was your daughter at the game?
She came at the end though.
Yeah. Do you have to put little headphones on then, or earplugs or anything?
Yeah. At that point, she was tucked away with Matt.
Oh yeah. So she was in good shape.
She was in good shape.
Fully protected. Think about that. She was, if she ends up being a Gopher women's hockey player down the road or whatever it might be, I don't know how soon you're going to put a stick in her hands and skates on her feet. But you can always say you were 2 weeks old when you went to your first. Was that her first trip to Mariucci? Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. Speaking of which, when was the first time you had skates on? Your family, your dad played college hockey, right, at Bethel?
Bethel, right.
Mike, and then your uncle was a hockey player as well, so you kind of a hockey background. So when did you first get skates and start?
Yeah, I first got skates probably when I was like 2. I remember my dad would tell me he would just hold onto my hands and let us kind of kick our feet out with the skates on. So yeah, I mean, I look forward to something like that with our kids. And yeah, I'm so grateful for my dad, especially, and just how much he dedicated to helping us out. He was just obviously an avid hockey person. So yeah, it's pretty special thinking about that.
Did he coach you when you were young, and maybe not even in games, but just like at this North Rink? Was it North Rink you said?
Yep.
Yeah, where maybe he would be in there teaching you certain things, skate skills, stick skills, all that.
Yeah, all the time, and that was something that was really fun for us to do. Where he'd come out and give me a lot of passes. And that was the biggest thing, just getting the reps in and getting me out there. So, yeah, that was really fun.
And when did you realize as well that, okay, one, I like this. This is fun. I'm, learning, but I'm pretty good. Like there has to be a point at which, like, I can do something special here on the hockey rink.
Yeah, I think the first time that I realized I could maybe make something out of it was when I was, like, 15 or 16, and I ended up going to a camp, and all of a sudden after the game, like Duluth was talking to me, and I was like, oh wow, like I didn't, I'd realized I was pretty good, but I didn't know to that extent.
Yeah.
So that was a really kind of a turning point where I realized I can maybe make something out of this.
Yeah, so colleges start talking to you. What ultimately end up as a Gopher? So take me through that process, how the decision went. Did you visit some other places? Who else was in on you? And how did the Gophers ultimately win out?
Yeah, I had visited pretty much all the schools in Minnesota. And, at the end of it, I'd come and visit Minnesota. And like I said, like growing up, I remember looking up to guys like Aaron Ness, and there's just a rich tradition of Gophers in Roseau, Neil Broughton, and so like
the Gopher, or one of the Gopher, right? Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, to be able to try and step into that legacy and be here was something I was really excited about.
And has it lived up to your hopes and dreams?
Definitely has.
And now you've got another, hopefully, month or more that you can continue to build on that, right?
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, too, about now future in hockey, because you will have an opportunity should you choose to pursue it. You were, and set me straight here, you were drafted by the Sabres. Are those rights over now?
Yeah. I'm a free agent.
So you're a free agent. So what do you think? How do you think that might play out? And I know you're worried about Penn State right now, but you also, hey, as the old saying goes, hey, you're a husband and father now. You've got to worry about other things too. So how do you think your future in hockey might look?
Yeah. I'm just waiting until the end of the season. I know, different teams have been reaching out at different points. But ultimately at the end of the season, people either want me or not. And I'm just waiting to see about that and just being where I'm at right now.
There have been some Gophers that have had a similar path that have ended up either not taking advantage of. I don't mean that it was, deciding, hey, I'm going to stay, let those rights run out, or some have been undrafted. I think like Nate Schmidt was not drafted, and the next thing you know, he's put together just an unbelievable NHL career as a free agent right after. Ben Myers, I think, too, right? Some others. Sammy Walker maybe let his draft rights go. I can't remember now for sure, but anyway,
he did.
There's a path there. Do you think you'll reach out to any of those guys to get some advice? I'm sure you have an advisor, an agent too, that will help.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I have a agent, like you said, and they're pretty good about working that for you. So I'm just, the whole message this year has been just, be with the Gophers, have a great senior year. And then, when the time comes at the end of the year, we'll work that all out for you. So I'm really just trying to play hard, because ultimately, this is what those teams are watching anyway.
Yeah.
And then the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was fun having you on the podcast. It was great to hear. You got such a great story with everything that's involved, overcoming injury. You're now playing for things even bigger than hockey. It's just awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Good luck this weekend, and let's hope we're talking in St. Louis here in, 5-6 weeks from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There he is. Aaron Huglen. It's episode 160. My thanks to Gopher hockey player Aaron Huglen for joining me on this week's Go Gopher podcast. I know you had to enjoy listening to that conversation as much as I enjoyed being a part of it. A big weekend series coming up at Penn State, and what a fun chat with Aaron. Episode 160 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. Affinity Plus has an award-winning mobile app, so check that out as well. OnX Maps also sponsors our show. With OnX Maps, happy fishing. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and please be sure to subscribe to the Go Gopher podcast right now. It's absolutely free to listen and free to subscribe. And please share the link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, give us some positive feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.